we're gonna want to have a sequence, and your sequence is this little thing right here. That bluish thing right there with the yellow triangle on top. So that is like its own little movie. So if you have separate sequences, different things are going to be on that sequence, and you can only adjust them if you're editing that certain sequence. So in order to add a new one, if you want a new one, you go to File, New Sequence, and then you can click OK. So now we have two sequences, and which means kind of like two separate movies. Cool. The squares are going to be a little different. We're going to want to rotate them instead of move them. So we're going to need an anchor point. And if you rotate, I'm rotating this black circle, or black square, and I can't really see the anchor point that it's rotating around, but it's rotating around an anchor point. Now, if I were to move that anchor point to a certain location, I could then make it rotate around that anchor point. So, adjusting the anchor point is extremely helpful in knowing where exactly your thing is. And I'm gonna move it all the way over here, and it's rotating. Through some adjustments, you can make it look a lot better than that, but in order to make this rotate, we're gonna put rotation. We're gonna keyframe the rotation. So right here, I want it right there. And then after, right about there, I want it to be here. And then at the end, I want it to end up being here. So if we play it, the thing is moving. And you would pretty much do the same thing with the green square and anything else you wanted to rotate. So here I am in After Effects, and you can see the After Effects setup right here. So you're going to want to import footage of some sort. So I'm going to double click inside that gray space, and I'm just gonna go into my videos right here, and I think I'm going to import this. Why not? And as it waits, okay, there we go. So then we're gonna drag this down here so that way we can edit it, and then we can drag it forward so we can see it, and that's how you import footage. So I kind of want something cool to go over this, like a cool quote or something. So in order to do this, I'm going to go up here and select the text tool and write, hi. You can't really see it, but it is there. And if we zoom in, ta-da! That's how you use the text tool. Now that I have the camera, I want to increase the bevel depth. So, I'm going to twirl down right here and go into Geometry Options. Extrusion depth. The extrusion depth allows it to get thicker, so that way it becomes 3D. So it may not look like it, but if I click on this camera and move it, and let it render in, you can actually see it. It's actually 3D and movable. So that would be how to create a 3D text. I kind of want some shadows on this, and in order to have shadows, you have to have light. So I'm going to add light to this equation. So I'm gonna left click on this. Whoops, sorry. Go to new, go to light, and here this pops up. So maybe I don't want the light to be more of a pale yellow, but just a darker pale yellow, maybe. So now this happens, and if you move it, you can see the word in this pale yellow. So let's say you want to kind of manipulate this light. You don't want it to be dead center, but you want it somewhere else. So if you select your selection tool up here, then you can take this blue, green, and red selections and move them according to how you want them to move. The blue makes it bigger or larger. The green moves it up or down. And then the red moves it side to side. And then this allows you to portray where you want the light to show. So if you want more of an ominous type of look, you could put it up more higher. But if you want it to look kind of normal, you just put it directly center. That would be how to manipulate the light. Say you don't like where your text is. So we're gonna select it, and the same type of stuff pops up. This blue, the green, and the red, which is a little hard to see. So you can use these to manipulate where you want your text. Now, let's say I want my text to come in slowly, but how would I do that? Well, I would need to keyframe the opacity. What does that mean? That means I would have to go by each frame and turn the opacity up a certain amount. So we're gonna twirl down this, we're gonna go to transform, and here we have opacity. So I'm gonna click this stopwatch, which puts it this little diamond right here. This allows me to keyframe what I want. So if I go forward 2 seconds, I can turn the opacity down by a lot. Then by 4 seconds, I can have it gone. And if I do this, it slowly fades away. So now I kind of want to make my text move across the screen, and I would use the same thing I did with the opacity, except instead I would keyframe the position. So let's say at this around 2 second mark, I want it over here, and then at the 4 second mark, I want it all the way back there. So if we play it, this is what happens. Ta-da! So let's say you want to kind of manipulate this light. You don't want it to be dead center, but you want it somewhere else. So if you select your selection tool up here, then you can take this blue, green, and red selections and move them according to how you want them to move. The blue makes it bigger or larger. The green moves it up or down. And then the red moves it side to side. And then this allows you to portray where you want the light to show. So if you want more of an ominous type of look, you could put it up more higher. But if you want it to look kind of normal, you just put it directly center. That would be how to manipulate the light.